Let me ask you this. What is Nike's slogan? What is Adidas' slogan? Now let me ask you, what is your slogan? Think about that. And let's podcast. Welcome to the Functionised Podcast. This is your mad scientist, Jim. Hello, world. It seems like forever since I've been here with you, and it's only been a couple of days. Time flies, but time kind of stands still. Yes, I am fine. It was a Memorial Day weekend, and Monday feels like Friday, so therefore it feels like Tuesday when it's really Wednesday, so you're going behind a day. So right now I kind of feel like it's Friday, even though really it should only be Wednesday instead. But alas, I'm recording this on Thursday for you. And today's shortened podcast is going to be a little bit more about intermittent fasting. It's a topic that goes rampant, and for some reason nobody likes to listen to the old podcasts. So I wanted to take a few moments and come to you and talk about it just for a few. Before we get into it, I want you to take this opportunity, watching the tickers of your seconds go by in the podcast, and take a screenshot. Post that screenshot to your story and tag us at Functionised, Functionised. That's right, it's the optimization of function, Functionised, and put in your story and tag us. We will get notice of that. We will start following you, and you will get more followers as a result. Intermittent fasting. So did you know 2/3 of women between the ages of 40 to 59 years old, why the research can't do the 20 years, I don't know, but 40 to 59 years old are actually overweight. So 66.6666666% of women between 40 and 59 are overweight. And more than half are considered clinically obese. This is a big number. And why is this? We all know. Sitting around and eating too much. Eating the eclairs, eating the cake, eating the cookies, and just keeps on piling up and refusing to take responsibility. And for some reason, food is a crutch. Food is the drug of choice. And most oftentimes it is sugar. Eat 10 bags of pork rinds a day and drink some Zevia to wash it down. Most likely you will not be obese. Eat 10 bags of Oreos a day and wash it down with Coca-Cola. Obesity and all the preventable diseases are sure to follow. Now, intermittent fasting in both men and women, it can help you lose weight very effectively. It has profound effects on biophysical profiles, and it also improves your self-esteem and, believe it or not, interpersonal relationships. And it's pretty easy to implement. I mean, if you think about it, if you actually were to get 7-8 hours of sleep a night, then right there is 8 hours of the fast. You're not really even thinking about it. Depends on how long you're doing a fast for. If you're doing a 16-hour fast, it's another 8 hours after that. It's a little bit tougher than 12 hours. But 16 hours has been shown, if you're going to intermittent fast, to have the greatest effect on removing senescent cells. Your body starts to utilize autophagy at this time. It's a far cry from the 72-hour fast, where true autophagy is really taking effect and cleaning up your body, if you would. But intermittent fasting can be phenomenal for you, can be very healthy for you. Now, it may not be for everybody, but it can definitely help regulate your insulin, help with insulin sensitivity. It's very inexpensive because you're not eating anything. So instead of going to your Starbucks in the morning, you just don't do it. So you actually put a few extra pennies in your pocket, if you would. And you can be flexible with it. It doesn't have to be at a set time every day. Typically easier, but it doesn't have to be. So how do you intermittent fast? Pretty much you pick a period of time not to eat, and you don't. You can drink water. Anything with calories is going to drive you into the unfasted state. You're going to knock yourself out of the fasted state. I know there's a lot of talk about how you can be intermittent fasting and get your butter and your MCT oil in your coffee blended up. That's calorie dense. It is knocking you out of the fasted state. Now, it's not raising insulin levels, which is good, but you're no longer fasting. Even pouring a little bit of cream in your coffee in the morning is knocking you out of fasted state. And technically speaking, coffee does have some calories in it. So technically, you are not truly fasting, even with those couple calories that are in there anymore. Drink water. As I said, it can be flexible. It doesn't have to be at the same time. And already I know people are grunting and groaning. Hey, you don't have to do it. It is an idea. It's helped a lot of people because what happens is individuals will eat a lot throughout the day. It's been said breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it couldn't be further from the truth. If you're doing your 8 hours of sleep at night, chances are you're not eating right up before bedtime. So say you don't eat 2 hours before bedtime. That is 10 hours right there. Now you wake up in the morning, you go 4 to 6 hours without eating, you eat for lunch. And you eat from lunch to 8 p.m. That doesn't sound so bad, does it? So now you're not binging throughout the day. You're not having your pastries and eclairs for breakfast. You're not having your Starbucks for breakfast. You're not having those sweet little snacks that are causing little crashes throughout the day. It's a way for you to control yourself. And from a health perspective, as I said, it's resensitizing your muscle cells and all the cells of your body to insulin to be more efficient. So when you do eat, the glucose that is either ingested or broken down and created is easier to be shuttled into your cells. Far more efficient. So what happened to all this dogma that we've learned growing up? To snack a lot, eat 5 to 6 times a day. What if I just shook things up and said it's wrong? If you've been listening to our podcast throughout, then you understand, I've brought to you that the research on that has shown that it doesn't really matter when you eat. Eating 5 to 6 small meals a day, which we've been taught and for some reason is still mispublished but published in magazines and some people in books, is said it speeds up metabolism, and it doesn't. It's garbage. Hogwash, I say. There's a crap ton of that out there, hogwash. It doesn't speed up your metabolism. What eating 5-6 times a day does is it curtails appetite from you binging all at once. Now, you can also do that if you want in that 8-hour window. Ooh, I know, right? There's a lot of tips and tricks and hacks out there, and a lot of this comes down to self-control. Can you control yourself of not having 1,000 calories of sugar and simple carbohydrates in a meal? If not, then make your peace, stop trying, and move forward. Find something else in life, because you're just going to make yourself miserable. But if you want to avoid the painful diseases, if you want to avoid that poor guy next to me that when I was in the hospital getting his second toe lopped off and they're coming in at all hours scrubbing and cleaning and oh man. He was getting like a couple shots every single couple hours. Feeding him, by the way, orange juice and a bagel and fruit and whole milk for breakfast, and then wondering why his blood sugar was through the roof and having to go give him insulin shots. Yep, that happened in the hospital. Who you are right now, the person you look at in the mirror, the person whose very clear image that you will see on the Fit 3D scan at Functionised is nothing more than the product of your lifestyle. The habits and the choices that you make each and every moment of each and every day are who you are. Think about it. Why do you look the way you do? Why do you feel the way you do? It's because of the choices that you make. I've been finding throughout the years that the simple idea of exercise more, eat less is not necessarily working for many patients, clients, individuals that become team members. The idea of calories in versus calories out just simply is not working. It's really our lifestyle choices that affect us, healthy aging, and a healthy life each and every day. And as I age with you over the past 11 minutes and 39 seconds, I personally refuse to believe that weight gain, fat gain, is normal and a normal part of life as we age. I just don't. Why is it that there are individuals out there that are competing at very high levels in endurance runs and Spartan races and doing all these wonderful things? They're out hiking and being very active lifestyles and carry low amounts of body fat in their 60s and 70s and their non-disease states, 80s, 90s, without starving themselves. Why is that a fact? But a lot of individuals that are so-called having trouble controlling their weight do so and blame it on the age. And unfortunately, a lot of fellow physicians out there, they kind of feed that and say it's okay. Even the charts I read, as somebody ages, it increases body fat as being okay. It's okay all of a sudden to be 25, 30, 35% body fat. No, it's not. People are very unhappy at 35% body fat. People are very unhappy at 25% body fat. I have not met a male or a female who's scanned in or have pinch tested them at 25% body fat and been totally happy in their clothes or been comfortable in bathing suit. Not one. Get below 20% and women are happy. Get 14, 15%, men are ecstatic. So why then is it okay to accept that the idea of gaining weight as we age is an acceptable and appropriate part of life? Some research was done, and in the 1970s, it was found that it was typical for individuals, both children and adults, to eat 3 meals a day and did not snack in between meals. That was it. 3 meals, done. Today, in 2019, we still eat 3 meals a day and then snack all day as well on top of that. So if a physician tells you to eat all day long, eat breakfast, eat 5 to 6 meals a day, fire them. It's okay, you can fire your physician. I mean, you probably got them out of your insurance manual and picked the person closest to you, right? Fire them. It's just straight up wrong. Eating and eating and eating overtaxes your digestive system and your pancreas. You're forcing your body to work harder. And the idea is to condition your body to be able to work hard, but to not overtax it and chronically make it work hard. It's like you can do a quick sprint from a saber-toothed tiger that jumped out of the bush to get away from him, but you are not necessarily running for hours on end all day, every single day, and still expect to get away from that saber-toothed tiger all of a sudden, do you? It's just not going to happen. Same thing with your body. It'll keep pushing, and it becomes overtaxed. And if your body's overtaxed and working too hard, it becomes dysfunctional. When your body becomes dysfunctional and your digestive system becomes dysfunctional and further inflamed, you can't absorb the food that you're eating. And if you can't absorb the food that you're eating, you're not absorbing the nutrients. So you can be eating a perfectly balanced diet specific for you, but if you're not absorbing it, then in a sense you're undergoing starvation. You're not going to be able to function right. You're not getting the proper amount of nutrients that your body needs and craves to survive each and every day. And then over time, disease begins to set in because your body is unable to stave it off any longer. Let me go off into a different direction here. There's been becoming almost two sects, S-E-C-T-S, of individuals. There's individuals living more of a ketogenic lifestyle, which doesn't necessarily have to be 100% fully keto, which 100% fully keto really is more of a therapeutic dose of fat than is something that without a disease, most likely that you would do for the next 100 years. There's also individuals that are more of sugar eaters. They gorge on carbs. And you can typically tell the difference between these two. The individuals that consume more fats and the carbs they consume are low glycemic, consisting of mostly fibrous vegetables, have that slow burn furnace. They have more energy. They're not hitting the crash. They can think better since that brain fog is not taking effect. They've got more endurance physically than the sugar eater. The sugar eater, on the other hand, that Mr. and Mrs. Carb there, are the ones that feel that crash. The ones that are feeling good and then not so good. It's that insulin is going down, dopamine goes down, insulin's high, goes down, dopamine's going down, you need a little pick-me-up. You get that brain fog, you feel like you need caffeine, you need food all the time, so you tend to eat, so you can get those hormone levels up. It's not that you're hungry, but those hormone levels are telling you to eat. That's a nasty thing once those hormones are raging to eat, because you're not going to be satisfied until you do. You primal animal, you. So if you're struggling with your weight more often than not, and you find yourself hangry, or you're denying when I see that you're hangry, or hearing you're hangry, chances are you've been having more carbohydrates, typically higher glycemic carbohydrates, than you want to admit. Would that be true? Most likely. It's pretty simple here. If you have trouble losing weight, most likely you do eat an excessive amount of carbs. And if you have an easier time of losing weight, then you eat less carbs and you're able to better tap into your fat stores. I mean, this is physiology 101 of the human body. Believe it or not, acknowledge it or not, there's certain scientific facts, certain laws of the universe that you can believe it or you don't have to believe it. But either way, it's happening. Did you know that individuals that have a higher fat diet typically sleep better as well? People with a higher fat diet also age more gracefully as well, because our cells are made of fat. And as our cells are being destroyed every day and we're rebuilding cells, we need fat. And that fat replenishes that lipid bilayer of each and every one of our cells. Now, when the individuals get into their 50s and 60s, muscle mass is being lost. Individuals, even in their 40s, 30s, muscle mass is being lost. And the reason is because they're not stressing their muscle. There's no resistance training being done. I see it early as, especially females, not picking on females, but especially in females, they don't like to lift more than 5-10 pounds at most. And you'll do hundreds of repetitions of it. You feel that burn, eventually overheat a little bit, work up a sweat, think you're getting a lot of work. And I see it all the time, and it is not doing any good for you. The only way the body is going to create more muscle, which makes you more insulin sensitive, which helps increase your metabolism, is to lift weight. If you can lift 10 pounds, lift 15. If you can lift 15, lift 20. It's okay, girls, to go up to 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. If you can lift 100 pounds, lift it. I mean, geez, Shantae had, 405 pounds she was hip thrusting? She's 5 foot, well, she's kind of shrinking. She's 5'2", 115 pounds, and started hip thrusting at 135 pounds. Actually, it was less than that. It was 95 pounds, if I recall right. And it was tough. And on my program, eventually, she had fun with it and was able to hip thrust 405 pounds. Amazing. And she does not look like a silverback gorilla or anything like that. I mean, she is as feminine come. So I don't understand what the fear of weight is. And that's why we have turned to using the ARX so much and isokinetics, where what you're pushing is what the machine is exactly giving back. So you can be progressively increasing your weight. So if 15 pounds is too much and you're doing 10, then perhaps it's 10 point X, 10 point X plus 1. Then maybe it's eventually 11. You don't get that with dumbbells. You get that with the ARX, though. It's very efficient, and if you keep on doing that over time, you're not going to be losing muscle mass. So you're not going to be gaining the pound and a half every single year as women do between 50 and 60 years old, and slowing your metabolism down as a result. You're going to be fit as a fiddle and continuing to be fit as a fiddle and enjoying life. So what does everyone really do as their solution? They turn to pills, they turn to potions, they turn to all these different powders and supplements, and that's going to be the answer, right? The new detox of the week is going to be the solution. I remember an individual that decided that they were going to call me on the phone. No, that the best way for them to lose weight was going to be harden 50 pounds to lose. And they want to do it drastic, just to see something drastic. Now, let me ask, was gaining 50 pounds overweight something drastic, or did that happen over time? So why are you going to overnight decide to make something so drastic that it's going to be something that works? Of course it's not going to work. And you know what? You may drop a few pounds, most likely bowel contents, most likely water, and so you lose 10 pounds of bowel and water. I mean, typical human holds 7 pounds of bowel contents in of itself. Then add another couple pounds of water, and congratulations, you just lost 10 pounds this week. So what happens when you stop living off of the powders and these pills that are diuretics and pills that are laxatives, and go back to eating the way that you were doing? Of course, it comes all back. You'll get those 10 pounds much quicker. So save your money on the pills and the potions. Those are supplements. If you're not getting something in your diet, if you're not getting the required amount of protein in your diet for your lifestyle and your goals, then have a shake. Have an unflavored protein powder. It's okay. But if you are just having protein powder to have the sake of protein powder, and you're now doubling the amount of protein requirement that your body needs per day, you're just getting fat. That's a fact. So let's talk about a little bit more of a much more effective solution, and that is intermittent fasting. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars a month on these magic potions, let's talk about keeping that aside for activities such as the Fit Lab that is actually going to do something for you. Put it away for a nice vacation. Put it away for savings. Put it away for retirement. And go from there. Because intermittent fasting costs you nothing. As I said before, it helps with self-esteem. And when you have better self-esteem, you do better in business. You do better with your family. Interpersonal relationships are far better. Life is more satisfying. And all this by not eating. For a little while. I'm not saying don't eat all day. Although every once in a while that's okay too, but that's another topic in of itself. I'm just talking about intermittent fasting. So, intermittent fasting is pure and simple lack of food for a certain period of time. You're either fasted or you're fed. You're in a fed state, meaning you got food in your belly, or you're in a fasted state, no food in the belly. Simple, right? So when you're in a fed state, your pancreas releases insulin in order to shuttle glucose into your cells. You can then store excess glucose, 25 grams of it, in your liver, and then into your muscle cells. Anything left over that's not in your muscle cells or your liver now gets stored as, survey says, body fat. When we skip breakfast, our insulin levels stay low. And when our insulin levels stay low, we shuttle fat from our fat cells to be used as energy. Did you know that by skipping breakfast, because you're intermittent fasting, while skipping breakfast, believe it or not, you can actually reduce anywhere from 20% to 40% of your daily caloric intake simply just by skipping breakfast. 20 to 40%. And that is more opportunity for you to utilize stored body fat for fuel. So if you're doing what's called a 16-8, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of feeding, then you then spend 16 hours using body fat for fuel. Now for those 8 hours, it's going to be up to you what you're actually going to fuel your body with. Some added benefits of intermittent fasting are, as we talked about, your insulin levels stay low, which facilitates your fat burning, and it also helps with type 2 diabetes. The growth hormone levels in your body can increase as much as 5-fold, which means you burn more fat, gain muscle, and it's growth hormone. So it's the anti-aging hormone. So you will age, as I said before, more gracefully for this reason. Due to the autophagy, however you want to pronounce it, potato, pillow, your cells become repaired as you remove the senescent cells, the waste material that's no longer needed. And the longevity of your genes increase as well, which also helps protect against disease. Your metabolic rate actually increases by 3.16 to 14%, which helps you burn more calories, of course. And over a course of 3 to 24 weeks, you can actually burn 3 to 8% more body fat by intermittent fasting. People who use intermittent fasting typically lose between 4 and 7% of their waist circumference, which means they are losing a lot of the visceral belly fat, which has been causational in disease. You also have lower blood sugar levels, as we were saying, and that helps improve your symptoms. If you do have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic, you can actually start to reverse it. Intermittent fasting reduces oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. Less inflammation, better digestion, less pain, less risk of chronic disease. It lowers blood pressure. It lowers total and LDL cholesterol. It lowers triglycerides, blood sugar levels. Intermittent fasting may actually prevent cancer. Now, we haven't have any human models that I know of yet, but in 4 animal studies, intermittent fasting actually helps prevent cancer, and I guess theoretically it makes a lot of sense, because if you're getting rid of the cells that are not needed, some of those cells that are not needed are those that are mass producing. So if a cell's not needed and is defective, it's when that defective cell starts to produce more and more and more and transcribe more and more and more, and that's cancer. Get rid of these defective cells ahead of time, and the cancer doesn't have a chance to come on. And even those with chemotherapy, in human studies, the side effects of the chemotherapy has not been as great for those who utilize intermittent fasting. And it's also good for your brain. It increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is necessary in order to create new neurons, form new synapses, and when BNDF, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor, starts to go to low levels, Alzheimer's begins to set in. And last but not least, intermittent fasting helps expand your lifespan. You may live longer. All total pluses. So now your fast is over. What do you eat? It's pure and simple whole foods. Get wild-caught fish, fatty fish, salmon, tuna, anchovies, sardines. You get the wild-caught, not the organic, farm-raised, but the wild-caught fish. Get pasteurized and grass-fed beef. You get your free-range eggs and chickens, the ones that have been able to eat the bugs in the grass, not the organic grains, which cause more inflammation. Get the organic, unsprayed, ungenetically modified vegetables. Your body needs these whole foods that are rich in nutrients. The darker the color of the vegetable, the better. The phytonutrients are so crucial for antioxidant values and properties within your body. Get the good fats, the avocados, have your coconut oil, your olive oil, an ounce of olive oil every single day. Crucial, absolutely crucial. I know cipracilic acid, C8, your MCT, that's the exact chain that is utilized by the body is C8 capracilic acid. So you always want to make sure that that is the one that you're getting at the store. These are phenomenal fats for you. Get the nuts. Oh, they're very, very good. And the carbohydrates that you have your sweet potato, have your berries, the darker the better. And stay away from the sugars. Stay away from the alcohols, because these are going to counteract all the good that you are doing for yourself. Now, before I leave you here, I'm not really leaving you, but before we depart this podcast, how do you really get into intermittent fasting? How do you start to intermittent fast? So no need to start with 16 hours right off the bat. Start with 12 hours, maybe 13, and then each week increase it by 1. I know everyone wants to just jump in, let's do it all, but these changes are too drastic, and like cleaning out your cupboard for only health foods, it doesn't happen long term. You're going to get sick and tired of it, and you're going to go buy a bag of Milky Ways. I want you to start with 12 or 13 hours. Every week, increase by an hour. Give yourself a full 30 days in order to see if it's really something for you or not, as opposed to just quitting after a few days or a week. Give it 30 days. Commit to 30 days. Remember, a commitment means that you're going to do it, and that you do it. If you start with something and then stop, it was never commitment to begin with. And give it 6 to 8 weeks of intermittent fasting to actually start to see the results. It takes time for your body to adjust and change and adapt to things, so give it that good 6 to 8 weeks. And if you're unsure about anything whatsoever, always discuss it with your healthcare provider. Make sure that the physician that you trust understands what you're doing, your objectives, and talk with him or her about it. That is going to wrap it up for me for this evening, for their morning, whatever time of day it is. That's always fun with podcasts. You can listen to it any time of day, but I know what time I roll. So before I leave again for the evening, I will say the word crap ton to get it out there, and I appreciate, as always, you being with me here. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. Tell your mom and dad you love them, and if unfortunately not around, tell somebody that you know that you love them. This is your mad scientist, Jim. I am out.